Hey y'all, it's Nurse Desi back with another video. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Destiny. I'm a 23-year-old registered nurse and I work in a medical surgical ICU. Your girl is fresh off of orientation. I've been off orientation for about a month now. And if you guys want to see new grad nurse vlogs, what it's like navigating being a new grad nurse in the ICU, then follow this channel, like, comment, subscribe. This week is going to be a vlog of 3 days in a row as an ICU nurse, and I'm going to take you guys along my shifts and let you guys know how it is and update you guys on how it's been going since my last vlog, because your girl has been officially off of orientation for a month and I have not vlogged since my first shifts off of orientation. So y'all get into this video and I will update you guys on how it's been. Alright, you guys, so today is Wednesday, July 24th, and your girl has had a lot going on, y'all. I have not vlogged in over 3 weeks, over a month, and I have had a lot going on. So I am currently on the way to work. Today is shift 1 out of 3 in a row. Your girl's been off of work for 7 days. I went out of town. I went to Chicago. For y'all that don't know, I'm actually from Chicago, Illinois. I moved to Atlanta when I was a kid, but I'm from Chicago. So all my family still lives in Chicago, and that's where I went to go visit at. And now your girl's back to work. So it's going to be a lot trying to get back into this routine, but I'm going to drive to work and update you guys on how it's been since I've been off orientation. Okay, y'all. So I'm on the way to work, and yes, I have my seatbelt on, y'all. Let me put my seatbelt in the front so y'all can see I got my seatbelt on. Safety first. But your girl is on the way to work, and y'all, so since the last time that I have vlogged, your girl has been working. Like, I had to do 4 shifts in a row for the first time off of orientation. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, those 4 shifts kicked my butt. I actually was trying to vlog for y'all that week, and then I stopped vlogging in the middle because my mental health was just not right, y'all. They were giving me the sickest patients on the unit, which I really feel like they trust me, which is a great sign. Like, I know the nurses on the unit, they have a lot of trust in me because I did work on my unit as a patient care tech for 2 years, and I know everybody believes in me, but when I tell y'all, I was getting back-to-back admissions that were just extremely sick. I was intubating as soon as they rolled into the door, cardioverting with adenosine, sepsis bundling, going to CT. They gave me a patient with ecos that had a massive pulmonary embolism, which, if y'all don't know what a pulmonary embolism is, that's a clot in your lung. And ecos is a procedure that we do, that we will take the patient down to the cath lab, put a sheath in their groin, and it goes all the way up into their pulmonary vein in order to break up the clot. So it's infusing with TPA and heparin. And it's a very high risk procedure because they're on massive blood thinners that can cause any complication, like a hemorrhagic stroke, bleed out, hematoma. It's just a lot of complications, and I've never gotten a patient with that procedure done before. And of course, I learned about it, I've done education about it, but I've never had it. So if it's your first time getting a patient that you've never had before, you're automatically going to be nervous. And y'all, I was just terrified. That whole 4-day stretch was just rough for me. But your girl made it. Everybody survived. Actually, the patients did great, and they all got better. But your girl was terrified that week, and it just showed that, like, being a new grad, like, they do not care about you being a new grad. They're going to give you any type of patient, so you always have to be prepared. Don't come in and expect them to start you off with the easier patient. That's what I was thinking in my mind. I thought that being new off of orientation, they would take that into consideration and make sure that you're getting easier patients. But we're in the ICU, and honestly, everybody's sick, but they don't care about that. They're going to give you any patient on the unit, so you need to make sure that you're aware of that when you're coming into work, that you can get any type of patient. They're all sick. So that was like a very, very tough week, but I got off of that 4-day stretch, and then I had like 1 day to rest, had to go back for another shift, and then they actually had texted and asked if I wanted to pick up a shift for incentive pay. So the thing about being off of orientation, we're finally able to pick up shifts, because when you're on orientation, of course, I can't be picking up shifts for extra pay. And they always tell us, like, don't go overboard with picking up as a new grad, because you will burn yourself out. So you never want to, like, do too much. But your girl wanted some extra money, and I'm actually never been a pickup type of person. Like, the whole time I was working as a patient care tech, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I picked up a shift, because I just like to do my 3 days and be done with it. But a nurse told me that a pickup shift can take your pay over, like, it can pretty much increase your check $1,500. So I was like, okay, your girl is picking up a shift, y'all. And when I tell you, that pickup shift actually went amazing. Like, I had great patients. The unit was like swamped with admissions. It was a Monday, so for y'all that's in a hospital, y'all know Mondays are really, really busy because patients are coming in for procedures, they're coming into the ER, everybody's coming in getting admitted, and it just was not enough staff. So I'm really glad I did pick up, because I helped the unit and your girl got some good pay. So that worked out because I was already going to Chicago that next week, and I wanted some extra money because of course I was going to get paid on my trip. I wanted to do some things in Chicago, so your girl's check was worth it. So I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I'm gonna be picking up more. And I forgot to update y'all too on the pay off of orientation, because I did tell you guys like I talked about pay when I first started my residency, but the pay has changed because your girl is off of orientation. So when you're off of orientation, since I'm an ICU nurse, we do get a critical care differential, and I'm also night shift, so I get a night shift differential, a critical care differential, and I also tend to schedule myself on weekends, so I get a weekend pay differential. And if you pick up an extra incentive pay, that is incentive pay differential, and then anything after 40 hours is time and a half. So if you do the math, it's a pretty good pay. I'm not gonna lie, since I've got off orientation, I have been very happy with my pay. And I told you guys, as a new grad, you're not gonna come out making this enormous amount of money, but there is a lot of room for ways to increase your money. So if you want to work on weekends, like, that's a good way to increase your pay. If you want to work, of course, if you want to work night shift, that can increase your pay. And if you want to pick up extra shifts, that can also increase your pay a lot. So it's not ideal all the time. Of course, you don't want to feel the need to always have to pick up a shift. But the good part about being a nurse is that we only work 3 days a week. But those 3 days will take you out, y'all. But on those 4 days, if you're filling up to it and they're offering incentive pay, it can be a big difference. So that is the good part about being a nurse, is that it's very rewarding. I'm less than 6 months in, and I feel very, very happy with my pay. Of course, you're gonna work for the money. You're not just getting free handouts. The patients are very, very sick, and you are going to work. But I do feel like I have been compensated well. So that is a good update. But when I tell y'all, I am like nervous about what type of patient I'm gonna get. But the good part about working 3 days in a row is that you do get to be with those same patients. If they don't get discharged or if they don't get moved around, you'll be able to stay with your patients. So the first day is always a little nerve-wracking because you're trying to build that rapport, figure out what's going on, and then after that, it tends to be easier as the shifts go on. So I do like to get to work pretty early on my first shift to make sure that I am prepared and I'm going through my patient's chart, seeing what's going on, and then after that I just come to work at the time that I had to clock in on my after the first 2 days. So I'm on the way to work. I ordered some food, so I'm gonna pick up my lunch, go to work, and I will update you guys on how this shift goes. Pray for me, y'all. Hopefully this is a good shift so I can have a great day. So I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all, today is Friday, July 25th, and y'all, I never came back and told y'all about how my shift was last night. But what I tell you, like I said in my last clip, they give me the sickest, most critical patients on the unit every single shift. And I don't know if this is a compliment because they know my capabilities, or if this is just a test. I don't know, y'all. But when I tell y'all I did so good last night, I just could not believe all that I did and how far along I came. Like, when I tell y'all, when you're in residency, do not start doubting yourself. Do not think that you are not capable. of caring for these patients. Do not get that imposter syndrome and having you thinking that you're just not meant to be on the unit that you're at. Like, stay confident, stick out the training, and I swear with time it's going to get better, y'all. So when I came onto my shift, they gave me 2 vented patients. I had a patient that was in septic shock, and then I had another patient that was like a stable vent, pretty much like an anoxic brain injury type patient. So my patient that was in septic shock was already very unstable. As soon as I came in, their blood pressure was extremely low. They had just got sepsis bundled. They were on 1 pressor, about to be maxed out on that 1 pressor. And as y'all know, with septic shock, the inflammatory response causes your whole body to like vasodilate. So in order for us to fix it, we give fluids. And then if that doesn't work, we may have to start the patient on pressor medication like levo, vaso, epi, all that. So my patient was already maxed on levo, and as soon as I came in, the patient immediately declined. Like, blood pressure was dropping, MAP was in the 40s. If y'all know, the MAP goal for most ICU patients is above 65. That's enough to get perfusion to your major organs like your kidneys, your lungs, your heart, everything. So my patient was rapidly dropping. I was starting the patient on vaso, then I had to start neo, and I was calling the doctor like, I need somebody here right now, like right now. I was getting so stressed out, but I stayed calm, and I think that's what's making, the more experience I get with these critical patients, I'm staying more calm whenever things start going bad. But y'all, all of the MPs and the PAs came, and they immediately was like, okay, yeah, this is serious. The patient was extremely acidotic, so I was giving bicarb pushes, started the patient on a bicarb drip. They put in an A-line, because y'all know it's really hard to titrate those medications off of a blood pressure cuff. You really need a more accurate blood pressure reading in order to properly treat the patient. So they put in an A-line. And then after that, I stabilized my patient, y'all. Everything went smooth, and I just did so good. And the charge nurse, y'all, my unit is so amazing. Like, every day I thank God that I started working on my unit, because all of the other nurses were coming up to me. They were like, hey, like, what can I do for you? What can I help you with? And I was asking them, can y'all please go check on my other patient? Y'all, they literally passed my other patient's meds, turned him, cleaned him, made sure his tube feedings were going, everything, y'all. They were so sweet. And then the charge nurse was coming by, helping me with my sicker patient. She even got my other patient's labs for me, y'all. Like, just so helpful. When you have a supportive team, your night goes by so much better, y'all. So I was just so proud of myself. And then when day shift came in the morning, the patient was seeming to do more stable. So everything was working out. And the nurse was like, on day shift was like, you're doing so good for you to only be a month off orientation. She was like, that report was so detailed. You gave me a lot of information. Like, that was a really good report. And I just feel so proud of myself, y'all. Like, you really do have to take these wins, because sometimes when you're in residency, you take a lot of L's. Like, you will be second guessing everything you do, thinking that you are not meant to be in this unit, thinking that this is too hard for you. But when I tell y'all, wins like this make you feel like it's worth it, and seeing your patients get better. Because when I came in, everything was looking really, really bad. By the time I left, I feel like I did something, like my interventions actually worked. So I'm excited to go back. I really hope my patient is doing better. I think my patient may end up being on CRRT when I get back, because the patient was developing a AKI. And y'all know when the kidney stop working, then your potassium goes up. So at the end of my shift, I had to do the hyperkalemia protocol, which I've never done that before. But it's a lot of intervention that we do. We'll give the patient albuterol, insulin, Lasix, and a whole bunch of other medications in order to bring the potassium down. But it's really a temporary fix until we can get the patient on dialysis or CRRT or something to help correct the kidney damage and the electrolyte imbalance. So I'm pretty sure the patient's gonna be on CRRT, so the patient's probably gonna have a lot more going on when I get back, but I'm excited. So I'm dressed and ready for work. I'm about to go get my lunch because y'all, I don't know what it is, but every time I work a 3-day stretch, I just feel like I have to treat myself every day. I gotta get a coffee, I gotta get some lunch, because I just don't be liking meal prepping, y'all. I gotta figure this out because your girl is trying to lose weight. I'm trying to get fit, so I gotta stop eating out, but I'm gonna get a salad. I'm gonna get a salad, so a win is a win. So I will talk to y'all when I get in the car and before I go into work. Hey you guys, today is July 26th. It is shift 3 out of 3. An update on my shift yesterday. So my shift went amazing. The patient that I had that was extremely sick actually ended up having to be transferred to CV ICU to be placed on ECMO. So I just could not believe that whole night I was caring for a CV ICU patient, extremely sick CV ICU patient that needed to be on ECMO and didn't even know it. So that just shows like why I always say in the medical ICU you have to know what's going on. You have to be prepared, because even though my hospital has a CV ICU and a neuro ICU, we can get any of those patients. The only thing we can't take is ECMO and open heart transplants. So we can get any type of patient. That's why you have to be very broad and well-rounded to be in the medical surgical ICU, because every day I come in, I see something different. I could have a cardiac patient, a GI patient, a neuro patient, a spinal patient. It could be any type of patient. So you have to be very well rounded to be in the medical surgical ICU. And that's what I love about it, is that I just get to see everything and I learn so much. So that patient got transferred out, so I had an open bed to admit, and then I had my same stable patient that I had the day before. So I pretty much was with one patient the whole night, and then right around 1 a.m. I did get a patient from the ER that was hyperkalemic. Potassium was 7. So the patient had to be brought on our unit to get emergent dialysis. So I got him set up for his dialysis, and then his potassium came down to 4. So he was stable, he went to sleep, and the other patient was stable. So I had a really good shift 2 out of 3. So let's go to shift 3 out of 3. I'm praying for a good shift, and I'm about to go grab me some food, get some coffee, and let's go. Hey y'all, so I just got out of shift 3 out of 3, and y'all, when I tell y'all that was the best shift I think I ever worked. So when I came in, I had my same patients back that I had yesterday, and like it started off pretty chill shift. The patient that I had yesterday was already like planning on getting transferred out, and then the other patient is like a stable patient that's been on the vent for a long time. So I was just going about my beginning of my shift, doing my assessments, about to pass my medications, and then my charge nurse was like, hey, I'm gonna bring a nurse that was on call today, and I need you to give up one of your patients so that you can admit into another room, right? And I really wasn't too excited about that, because like I'm the type of nurse, I prefer having my 2 patients at the beginning of my shift, because you're already familiar with those patients, and then like you can just go about your regular day, just do your assessments, pass your medications, and typically it'll go fine. So when you have a open admission, you just don't know what's gonna come in there, and then it's a lot of initial interventions that you got to do. I just don't love admission, so I was kind of like because I already knew my patient that I had the day before. I really wanted to just keep my 2 patients, but I was like, okay, cool. But the other patient who I had is a very stable patient on the vent, and I was already about to transfer the other one out, so I was going to end up getting an admission anyway. So I was like, okay, fine. So I gave my 1 patient up, and I just had my 1 patient, and I had an open room to admit. So I'm anticipating getting an admission because I gave up that patient at the beginning of my shift. So I'm anticipating an admission, and y'all, your girl never got an admission. So I literally spent my whole third shift with my 1 stable patient. I did his full bath, did his wound care, turned, changed. I gave him a very, very good ICU treatment because I did not have anything else to do, and I wanted to make sure that if I do have 1 patient, at least he's getting the best care. So it was a great shift, y'all. I was clocked out by 6:55. That's probably the earliest I've ever clocked out, because the nurse that had the stable patient that I had was back from the last shift. So I was only with one patient and I had updates. Like, so good, y'all. I've never had a shift that easy. So that is great. Your girl is done for the week and I'm so happy. I'm about to get my lashes done this weekend. I'm off for 4 days, and that is why I love being a nurse, because the schedule is amazing, y'all. Like, the schedule is amazing. So I will see what we get into. I may keep this vlog going, or I may go ahead and end it, just depending on how much footage I have. But I need to get some sleep. I am exhausted because it's my 3rd day and I'm just really sleepy. And when you have one patient and they're really stable, the night will just be dragging because you're not really doing that many interventions. Like, you're not as busy as you would be if you had a very sick critical patient. So I deserved a night like this, especially since my first night I had such a sick patient. I deserve these 2 chill nights. And I'm one of those type of people that I usually be getting sick patients back to back to back. Like I told y'all, every shift I work, I get very critical patients. So for me to have 2 shifts where I don't have to be fighting for my life trying to keep these patients alive, it feels good. It feels good. So your girl is at home. I'm about to go to sleep, and I will talk to y'all later.